All right, guys, we are back for the divisional round of the playoffs. Here with Yanni. What's up, dude?
What is up, buddy?
Huge
Getting
weekend.
that one? Yeah.
Huge
Love it.
weekend for the Niners faithful. Huge win against the Eagles. I knew it all along. I totally didn't pick the Eagles on this show. Never a doubt, boys. How was watching that game for you, Yanni? Like how in terms of Niners playoffs runs, like where does this stack up so far?
Well, first of all, that was one of the most unbelievable 49ers wins like I've ever seen, ever in my life watching. Where does it stack up for 49ers playoff runs? Dude, that's hard because I don't believe that they can legitimately contend missing like three or four Hall of Famers plus a first round pick that was playing out of his mind, you know? So it's been really mixed emotions because I love the game. That was so exciting to watch. I could not believe they got a win. I was elated. I called you right after the game, which, dude, if you're going to call someone, it needs to be important. That was like important enough that I rang you. Um, so yeah, it was so much fun. I'm so happy we get another week of 49ers football. I do think they're live to win the game despite what Vegas thinks of their spread. It was thrilling, but it's mixed emotions because all I keep thinking is if this team was healthy, I think this would have been the year that Shanahan and company finally got the title. So it's been mixed emotions for me. I don't know. How do you feel about it?
Well, we'll see, man. I mean, obviously, this team to me, in all the Niners playoff runs, pretty much ever since Kaepernick, I guess, this team feels like it's the least equipped to make a run.
Yeah.
But
Yeah.
they've been struggling with injuries all year and just piling up W's. And like people would talk about the schedule or whatever, right? Oh, the Niners have the easy schedule in the NFL. Three out of the last 4 weeks, though, we played the Bears, we played the Seahawks, we played the Eagles, and going 2-1 in that 3 week stretch against three playoff teams in the NFC. I don't know, man.
Yeah.
Hell of a coaching job from Shanahan and the boys, I think.
Yes.
But anyways, down to business here. We got four more games, divisional rounds. We're gonna do some predictions, give our thoughts, show our brackets in, all that fun stuff. So I'll let you take this one, Yanni.
Yeah, I will kick off the Bills at the Broncos, a game I'm actually really looking forward to seeing just because so much Josh legacy's up for grabs. Josh Allen legacy's up for grabs. I thought he played a tremendous game last week. Thought he had the most exciting QB sneak I've ever seen in the history of watching football, right? It was really cool. So, Bills going to Denver to face the number one seed Broncos. The Bills offense is fourth in points scored. They're fourth in yards. They're 15th in passing. They are first in rushing, third in red zone touchdown percentage, fourth and third down percentage, right? A testament to Josh Allen's greatness. The Broncos offense, 14th in points scored, but 10th in yards, 11th in passing, 16th in rushing, 13th in red zone touchdown percentage, and 10th on third down percentage. Defensively, I think it's more of a heavyweight matchup than maybe the general public thinks, but certainly the Broncos are the better team here. The Bills defense, though, 12th in points allowed, seventh in yards, first passing defense. They're the number one ranked passing defense in the NFL in terms of yards allowed, 28th in rushing, however, 19th in red zone touchdown percentage, probably as a result of their rushing, and 24th in third down percentage. The Broncos defense, very strong, third in points allowed, second in yards allowed, seventh in passing yards allowed, second best against the rush, number one defense in the red zone in terms of touchdown percentage, and they're the second best team on third down. So I feel like it's kind of a cliche because I said it for a few different games last week, but like, and it's the playoffs, right? So of course this is the case. Situational football will probably make or break this game. When you have a team that is incredibly strong on third down, and that's how they make a lot of their hay, right? Is converting these tight third downs and keeping drives alive, especially when you have the number one ranked rushing offense. It's really important for the Bills how their first and second down go to set up manageable third downs against the second best third down defense in the sport. And then against one of the best defenses in the red zone in the sport, against one of the best offenses in the red zone in the sport, that's tremendously consequential as well. Are they kicking field goals or are they scoring touchdowns when they get in the red zone? With the way the Bills defense has been leaky at points this year, I do not think they can win this game on field goals. They are going to have to score touchdowns. So look for those key moments. And obviously, like, it's kind of a stupid thing to say, right? Because converting or not converting a third down kills or keeps a drive alive. Obviously, that's incredibly consequential. The difference in 4 points scored, right, between a touchdown and a field goal is 4 points. Obviously, that's incredibly consequential. But I just think it gets amplified a little bit when you have teams that are really rely on those moments. And then a defense that really comes through in the biggest way in those moments in the Denver Broncos. So, I think there's going to be tight, like high pressure. I think we're going to get some fourth down Josh Allen sneaks. I think Bo Nix at points this week is going to have to pass the ball against the Bills. I don't think they're just going to be able to run all over him, get a nice comfortable 2-score lead, and run out the clock. That's not the way Josh Allen's been playing. Saw a great stat today that Josh Allen averages 3.7 touchdowns per game in the playoffs. So Josh Allen himself accounts for like 25, 26 points per game on average. Obviously the whatever 3/4 of a touchdown. Basically, he accounts for 21 or 28 points per game, and more often than not, it's 28 points per game in the playoffs just on his own. That's really, really impressive to me. Um, to me, the biggest story of this game, I'm willing to put almost everything else aside and just look at what is Josh Allen versus Bo Nix worth to me. Maybe for me and Ted, that answer is going to be a little different. For me, it's worth quite a bit. RJ Harvey is someone who I really loved coming out of the draft, but really did not run that well this year. He is actually 48th out of 48 running backs that rank this year for rushing yards over expectation. In other words, he gets the worst yardage for what is blocked for him on a per play basis. He makes the least of it of any starting running back in the NFL this year. Jaleel McLaughlin actually came out week 18 and started over him the last time we saw this team. So, like, can the Broncos come out and run the ball and really exploit what the Bills don't want to do? It's Sean Payton. I think RJ Harvey's talented. He just did not perform well this year. I actually think Jaleel McLaughlin's a pretty good player, too. He's actually the all time college leader in touchdowns scored or rushing yards over his college career in any division, in any conference. Pretty impressive. But can Denver run the ball here? I think is going to be a pretty big key because if they can't, if Bo Nix has to drop back and pass against the Bills, I think they are dead on arrival. So I'm really curious to see game flow and what's allowed for the Broncos offense on that side of the ball because the Bills, if you're going to drop back to pass, as we saw when they put the game away against Trevor Lawrence, they are lethal. They are lethal in that regard. If they can make your team one dimensional, the issue is they haven't really been able to this year. So I'm super curious to see who gets the ball first and what they do with that first drive, right? All things considered, though, I think this is a tremendous playoff matchup for us to be getting in the divisional round. I think it's everything you want in playoff football. Holes and all on both sides of the team, both teams on both sides. Like I'm really, really excited for it. And then lastly, as far as the coaching edge, I'm not the biggest Sean McDermott fan. I know defensively he's considered like a top 10 defensive mind in the sport, right? So good for him. But Sean Payton, I just think is better. I just think he's a better coach. So if I had to do a coaching edge too, considering I think these rosters are actually fairly close in some regards, I think Sean's a pretty big edge in this one.
Yeah, I think from a personnel standpoint, actually, these rosters are not even close. I think the Broncos as a whole have a significantly better team, right? But you have playoff Josh Allen, who he's never lost, I believe. No, he lost in the wild card round his very first year. He got in the playoffs, and after that, he's just been making runs the entire time, right? So the Bills, man, like I think that we saw last week a lot of what I expected, really. I think the Bills were just outmatched by the Jaguars. I think the Jaguars were the better team for the majority of the game. James Cook, they did a good job stopping him. The Jaguars were the number one rushing defense. The Broncos are the number two rushing defense. So I would imagine that's going to be a point of emphasis here, trying to stop James Cook in the run, right? And we saw again, like if you take out the Week 18 game the Bills played against the New York Jets, who are not a real football team, they've been trailing in the second half of every single game they've played, right? So, the Broncos are not strangers either to close games. Denver is 11-2 this year in one-score games. They really don't blow anybody out. To me, though, right? Like, okay, Josh, like you might have hurt your PCL last week. I'm sure you saw that tackle yawning where his knee was bent backwards a little bit. He looked
I thought
slow.
that was a PCL. It looked like a PCL to me. It
Yeah.
did the inversion, that weird inverted bend while the foot was planted. It did not look good.
I mean, it wouldn't shock me at all if that's what happened. And Josh Allen just will not be denied, right? And he's out there, but I think he's going to play a little banged up, right? It feels to me
The
like
hand, the
I
hand too.
Yep, I would be shocked if the Broncos are not leading at some point in the second half and they're asking Josh Allen to go be Superman again, right? This Broncos defense, I think, is significantly better than what the Jaguars have to offer. They also led the league in sacks this year, right? So one game that really comes to mind to me for the Bills, right, is when they played the Texans. on Monday night in that primetime spot. I think they sacked Josh Allen 9 times, and like that was probably the most helpless I've ever seen the Bills look. If Josh is gimpy in any way, shape, or form, and you're asking him to go on the road and engineer a comeback against the Denver Broncos and gotta have it time, like obviously he can do it. He's Josh Allen, right? But it's asking a lot for me. Also, like when we want to talk about the Broncos offense, right? I'm not a Bo Nix fan, really. I think that he's like, he makes good throws sometimes. He makes good plays. Sometimes he'll have these fourth quarters that look really nice, right? But the Broncos offense as a whole has been funky all year. It's like they'll have these games where they do nothing all game, or they squeak by the Raiders by 3 points, right? Or they almost get beat by the Giants and score 25 points in the fourth quarter, and Bo Nix throws for 3 touchdowns. So I think for the Broncos, they cannot have that type of uneven offensive performance. At least they have Sean Payton. I think that helps them. I do think this is an incredibly close game. Do you have like a pick against the spread on this one, Yanni? Right now it's Broncos -1.5. Is there any confidence in like money plays here or gambling plays?
I would play the money line in this one. And it will become apparent shortly where I would play the money line. I would take the money line, though. I would not bet against the spread here. So, and then over under, I would probably take the under. Probably take the under.
It feels like an undie to me. Yeah, like especially if the Broncos have success defensively and they can get to Josh Allen, that's how they're stopping drives, right? Like the Bills are just they don't have anyone it out wide to catch passes. Like this is a team that had an opportunity to get Jalen Waddle, and they would not give the Dolphins their first round pick this year. They wanted the first round pick, give the first round pick the following year's draft. I think Jalen Waddle, if he was on the Bills, this would not be close. I would take the Bills like very confidently here, but I don't know. For me, like I feel like the bill comes due finally. No pun intended there. I'm taking the Broncos. I'm not enamored with the Broncos. I think they're one of the weaker one seeds that I've seen in a long time. But to me, like the way the Bills are winning football games just not does not feel sustainable to me. This team feels significantly worse than the past Josh Allen teams, and I think he might be a little banged up. Like I think the Broncos scammed their way to the AFC Championship. Who do you got,
Hmm.
Yanni?
I think everything you said is accurate. I actually don't disagree with any of it. I just think ultimately in the playoffs, when the windows get tight, it is about extraordinary players doing extraordinary things. And the Bills have the most extraordinary player that is left in the playoffs. So I will go ahead and bet on the underdog going on the road from the 6th seed to drop the number 1 seed. I'm going to go ahead and take the Bills.
Listen, man,
Should
I'm
be a great game.
massive Josh Allen fan. I will never. I want to pick the Bills. Like I get why you're picking the Bills. And honestly, we've been talking about the bracket challenge. This is a high leverage game for me. Is I see a
Yeah.
lot of the guys I'm playing with pick the Bills here. If the Broncos win this game, like my brackets are looking pretty good. Your boy Ted might be getting some money from the bracket challenge.
Good.
But yeah, it'll be an interesting one. First head to head of the week. Next we have, oh man, the rubber match between the San Francisco 49ers and the Seattle Seahawks. They're going to be in Lumen Field. The 12s are going to be they're going to be loud, allegedly. Before we even go any further, the Seattle Seahawks fans will tell you that they're the best fan base in the NFL. They have the loudest fans and the
12s.
best fans in the NFL. That is not
12s.
yeah, the 12s. They first of all they stole that from Texas A&M. They had to pay Texas A&M a royalty to use that name for their fans. Secondly, whoever built the place that the Seahawks play, they call it Lumen Field now. I forgot what it was before, but the architecture is in that building is such that the noise reverberates back into itself, so noise is amplified there. The 12s are not better fans than anybody else. They just think they are. Listen, man, I would love to see the Niners come here. A Niners team that I feel like has no business even being at this point in the season, in just ruining the Seahawks parade. Yanni will tell you, man, the Seahawks have been my public enemy number one for years now, going on years. It goes all the way back to the NFC Championship in Seattle. Jim Harbaugh, Pete Carroll. There was the Richard Sherman, Crab Trigger mediocre, and Navarro Bowman tears his ACL, and Seahawks fans their popcorn on in game. There are some games that you watch in certain teams and fan bases that you just are disgusted by. And the Seahawks have been that for me for a long time. It's been a while since there's been a high leverage game between the two, I'm juiced. I really hope they bring it home. But anyways, preamble over. Offensive and defensive stuff. 49ers offense. They are 10th in points scored, 7th in yards gained, 5th in passing yards gained, 24th in rushing yards gained. They're 4th in red zone touchdown percentage. They're scoring a touchdown 65.2% of the time they get in the red area. And they are the number one third down team. They convert 49.8% of the time. Looking at the Seahawks offense, when I pulled these numbers, they were actually pretty surprising to me. Seahawks offense, they are third in points scored, seventh in yards gained, eighth in passing yards gained. I mean, that's a credit to Sam Darnold, man. I wasn't sure if he was going to be
Yeah.
better than Geno. Yeah, resounding success from the Seahawks making that move. 10th in rushing yards gained. Ken Walker, Zach Charbonnet owners. I know it felt disgusting, but technically it was very effective for them and Clint Kubiak. The Seahawks, however, are 21st in red zone touchdown efficiency. They only score 54.2% of the time they get in the red area. And they were middle of the pack on third down, coming in at 16th, only converting a hair under 40% of the time at 39.8%. Then the defenses, this I got to be honest, current iteration of the 49ers defense does not hold a candle to what Seattle has going there. The Niners defensively 13th in points allowed, 20th in yards allowed, 25th in passing yards allowed, 11th in rushing yards allowed, 12th in red zone touchdown percentage defensively. Opposing teams score a touchdown 60% of the time they get in the red area, and they are 19th in getting third down stops. They get one about 40% of the time. Seahawks are the best scoring defense. They are sixth in yards allowed. They are 10th in passing yards allowed, third in rushing yards allowed, fifth in red zone touchdown percentage. They only allow a touchdown half the time opposing teams get in the red area. And they're the best third down team in the league at 32.1%. Right. Spread on the game, Seahawks favored by a touchdown. Over under on this game is 44 and a half. I would be taking the under pretty aggressively here if I was a better. This to me feels like an under. These two teams have not gone over 30 points, I believe, in the prior two meetings. I don't know why the number is where it is.
16 and 27, their first two meetings this year.
Yeah,
Total
no,
points.
yeah. I would be playing a hefty under here, but yeah, man. Listen, Seahawks coming off a bye, right? Sam Darnold has the oblique. He popped up in the injury report. I'm not under the impression he's not going. Sam Darnold's going to play, right? But there's a lot of factors at play here. Obviously, division opponents. These games are typically a little bit tighter. Just ask the Bears how tight those games can be. It's going to be on the road for the Niners. The Niners are having a short week. They had 5 days of rest. It was actually a sticking point of Kyle Shanahan. He was saying to the NFL, "Hey, it's kind of unfair to have us on Saturday, but I guess you win your Week 18 game and it's not an issue, right?" It feels like to me this game has the Niners are a talent deficit in this game. Obviously, they were in a talent deficit last week and they were able to pull it out. But the dudes that Seattle has, especially on the defensive end, right? That line with Leonard Williams and all the guys they have, the corners they have, they're really taking to Mike McDonald's scheme. The Seahawks, this was really like the two things to me happened with the Seahawks team this year that made them different than the typical Seahawks we've seen for the past 5 years. Number one is this defense finally being good. Like I've had to hear Seattle talk about how good their defense is for 5 years, and it always has not been that way. This one's an actually really good defense. And the second thing is JSN really emerging, right? You get a upgrade at quarterback, and all of a sudden you're in the number one seed in the NFC, right? But I feel like the Seahawks team has its flaws. It has its flaws. Sam Darnold led the league in turnovers this year from the quarterback position. I believe it was, man, I think it was like 22. And that's combining your interceptions and your lost fumbles, right? So Sam Darnold obviously can get loose with the ball. I believe the Seahawks offensively over the past like 8 or 9 weeks too. I think they rank like around 20th in the league in EPA per play. So the offense that was firing really well at the beginning of the year has kind of hit a little bit of a lull, but they've just found their way to winning games, right? The defense has been playing really well. The Seahawks also get more defensive touchdowns than any other team I think I've ever seen. I think they had like 6 or 7 this year. It was really impressive stuff for them. So they're winning games, they're scoring points, they're playing good defense, but when I look at the Seahawks team, like, are they really that much different to me than the Eagles, right? Like, maybe I'm an Eagles truther. Maybe I'm like the Eagles coper or whatever, right? But what the Eagles put on the field, I think from a personnel standpoint, I think is very close to, if not better, than what the Seahawks have. Right? You know, the Niners, they have a tough task here. It's not going to be easy at all. Luckily, though, the Niners, they're playoff warriors. Kyle Shanahan is 7-0 in his career as the 49ers head coach in the wild card and divisional round, aka never lost. Brock Purdy is 4-0 in Seattle. He has never lost in that building. And listen, the Niners are banged up. There's conspiracy theories going around about the electrical substation or whatever, right? Like, yeah, what's the conspiracy theory? The electrical substation next to where the 49ers practice is making tendons and joints weaker, and that's why the Niners are so injured. I think that's bullshit. But the Niners are banged up, but it feels like they're on a mission. It feels like this team. I don't know. It's like a Cinderella run, really. And I'm not gonna mess with you guys here. I'm taking the Niners. I put on my big giant hat so you guys can
I
see. In the words of
I
our
love the
friend
big hat.
Jameis Winston, unwavering faith, ultimate belief, dependent on the Lord, boys. And what you gonna do when Brockomania runs wild on you, brother? I'm taking the
Uh,
Niners. What do you think,
oh,
Yanni?
rest in peace to a great American hero. That sucked, dude. If you were gonna hit the Hulkamania finish, you definitely should have gone second. Totally killed the vibe. Um, okay, well, what do I think about the game? I think we have to be realistic. The Seahawks gave up 20 total points to the 49ers over 2 games. And that was 20 total points when Brock threw a touchdown at the last drive of the first game. Up until that point, through essentially 2 games of football, they had surrendered 16 points or 13 points to the 49ers, right? So to me, the game comes down to a couple things, right? If the 49ers can stop the run game and force Sam Darnold to pass the ball, I think their chances to win this game go up exponentially. I think from the offensive side of the ball, in terms of the Eagles or the Seahawks, it's not close. The Eagles are way more dangerous than the Seahawks are. From the defensive side of the ball, I think the Seahawks are better schemed and more talented, but maybe they're both similar. Maybe it's like a 10 to 20% difference. So I actually think they have a way better chance to win this game than I thought they had going in last week. Add on to the fact that it's a divisional game. Add on to the fact that if Christian McCaffrey doesn't muff a catch pass at the goal line, right, it very well could have been 10 to 13 with like 7 minutes left in their last game, right? So very winnable game for the 49ers. I have so much respect for Mike McDonald and what he has put on the field as a head coach. Um, as far as his defensive scheming, to me, I noticed it with Baltimore. I called him the Kyle Shanahan of defense. I really do think that's what he is. I think he's innovative. We're seeing it with Jesse Minter now, who's getting head coaching interviews, who's in his defensive coaching tree. It is an incredibly tall task to ask the 49ers to go into Seattle and to beat this defense. There are all those things going in their favor, like you said. Um, and the fact that the Seahawks are a little bit worse at home is sort of interesting. They actually have been road warriors for the last 2 years. Their splits are pretty noticeably favored toward the road. Not sure why. Um, so how do I see the game going? So Greg Cosell and Chris Sims both had some pretty interesting comments this week. Chris Sims, who was Kyle Shanahan's college roommate and his quarterback, he threw to Kyle out of the slot, his best friend, is usually very pro Kyle. He said he has never seen a defense do to Kyle Shanahan what the Seahawks have done to him this year. He said that it looked like a miracle that the 49ers were getting first downs at any point in any of the 2 games. That I believe last game they ran 46 plays against Seattle. Greg Cosell said it looks like the most heavy work to get a first down he's ever seen from Kyle Shanahan. It looks like the offense is stuck in the mud. Um, and unfortunately, I think you can circumnavigate those things when you have a Brandon Ayuk, when you have a George Kittle, right? When you have a totally healthy Trent Williams. I think you can get away from some of that. I'm concerned about the state of this team. You have Ricky Pearsall going out there and saying, "Well, I'm fine as long as I don't take contact on my knee." Okay. So how long does Ricky take the field this week? I'm really not sure. Um, there's just a lot of factors that for me, I think the injuries have mounted to such a point. I mean, what did Kenneth Walker have the last time they played? I think him and Charbonnet combined for like 200 yards.
They
You
combined for
know,
200. Ken Walker went for like 100, and he had
you
that
sound
third and
you
17 conversion
you,
that just is the most infuriating play I think I've ever seen.
you sound very muffed, by the way. You sound very far away.
Here, I'll take off the hat.
Oh, there. Oh, sorry, the hat was on. Okay, I didn't remember. I can't see your camera going. Okay,
Oh yeah.
my bad. I didn't mean to kill the hat vibe. But yeah,
Oh no, no,
so
no.
like,
I was holding like the microphone in like my hand. It's still Hulkamania'd out, but I heard
I
everything that
mean,
you said.
but no, yeah, yeah. But so dude, like, you could very easily say that that game was two plays. The 3rd and 17 to Kenneth Walker, which was a huge, I mean, just a huge swing play, and then the Christian McCaffrey muff on the goal line, right? Like, they were very much live to win that game in Week 18. So I think they're totally live to win. I really do. I believe that the healthier, the more well rested, and a team that I think their scheme actually on the defensive side of the goes toe with Kyle Shanahan. I think that is the deciding factor here. I think the Seahawks get the win. I do think, though, there will be windows, there will be moments where the 49ers can wrestle this game away from them. And if the 49ers win this week, if the 49ers win this week, it will be for one reason and one reason alone, in my opinion. Well, two reasons: Kyle Shanahan, right, and Robert Saleh, the coaching. But Brock Purdy has never left the playoff field healthy. He did blow out his elbow in one game. He has never walked off the playoff field without giving his defense the lead or winning the game, ever. He has never left a playoff drive without either giving his defense the lead for the win or having won the playoff game. He has led multiple game-winning drives in the postseason, multiple multi-score comebacks in the postseason. If they go in there and they win, it is because Brock Purdy has whatever that thing is. When the lights get brightest, when the moment gets biggest, he does not lose fucking games. And the NFL and the media and everyone will have to have a serious conversation about how he went in there missing multiple Hall of Famers on both sides of the ball and pulled out a game in what is considered one of the toughest road environments in the sport against a top two defense and one of the better defenses we've seen in the last decade of football. So we will have a really interesting conversation about Brock Purdy should he go out there and have a great, efficient game and lead a way undermanned team to a win against a division rival. If they do that, I think they are totally live to go to the Super Bowl. It'd be incredible. I hope I'm wrong. And I hope if however this game plays out, we'll see. I hope Brock Purdy truly gets to do. If he wins this, it's one of the most impressive wins I've ever seen watching the 49ers in the last 20 years.
Yeah, I think I don't know. I'm higher on the Eagles. I think than a lot of people. So I think that it would be just as impressive as last week. Like last week, I thought they had no shot. And they
Yeah.
pulled it out. Yeah, but the whole Brock is a product of the Avengers narrative is just completely crumbled. I feel like this year. I believe it's four straight playoff games that Brock Purdy has engineered a game tying or lead changing comeback at the end of the game. Dude's nails. His mentality, I think, is part of what makes him so good. It bums me out that you would take the Seahawks, you traitor. You know, everybody needs a party pooper, and I guess that's going to be
I'll,
you this week.
I'll wear it, man. It's yeah.
Oh,
You
and
have
just
to.
full disclosure to the fans, I pitched the Levi's South idea to Yanni. If the Niners pull this out and the Rams win, go into Levi's South to play the Rams for a trip to the Super Bowl. He declined. But I tried to make it happen. We did that once before. It was incredible. Fuck you, Jaquasi Tart.
Oh, oh. Okay. This is actually a game that I don't think is going to be the most entertaining or the most fun, but I'm really excited. I'm giddy to see what happens here because I think there's so many different directions this can go. You have the Texans going to face the Patriots without Nico Collins. He's already been ruled out. The Texans offense, 13th in points scored, 18th in yards gained, 14th in passing yards, 22nd in rushing, 30th in red zone touchdown percentage, and 23rd in third down conversion rate. The Patriots offense has been scorching this year, albeit against a light schedule. Second in points scored, third in yards, fourth in passing, sixth in rushing, 17th in red zone touchdown percentage, and sixth in third down percentage. For the Texans defense, just absolute maulers, man. I've been watching like Petrie all over social media this week, quickly becoming one of my favorite players in the whole NFL. Texans defense, second in points allowed, first in yards, sixth against the pass, fourth against the rush, 16th in red zone touchdown percentage, and sixth in third down percentage. And we didn't pull the exact figures, but they are toward the top in turnovers too, and defensive touchdowns. They were right there, nipping at Seattle's heels all year. A tremendous big play and big moment defense. The Patriots defense, fourth in points allowed, eighth in yards, ninth in passing, sixth in rushing, 30th in red zone touchdown percentage, and 12th in third down percentage allowed on conversions. So again, this game is very simple to me, actually. One, I really wish Nico Collins were going. Me and Ted evaluate that player differently. I do consider him to be one of the game-changing players in the NFL. I consider this, it's not the same level, but to me, he is the Texans version of a Jamar Chase, of a Justin Jefferson, of a Puka Nacua. Now, again, is he the same level player? Absolutely not. I would not have him in that tier. He's nowhere close to that. But do I think he does similar things as far as being this offense's big play X receiver that can break the game open for them? Yeah, I really do. And I do think he's one of the 10 best receivers in the NFL. To me, losing him really matters. Now, he would have drawn the Christian Gonzalez matchup, which is a really tough matchup anyway. I believe Christian Gonzalez cleared concussion protocol. I didn't actually check that. He went in this week. But yeah, to me that's a big deal. That's a big deal to lose him, but they have played without him at points this year. It just is what it is. He actually suffered a concussion earlier in the year. So that makes this game very straightforward. You have the Patriots, who had a hell of a time dealing with the Chargers pass rush last week. Drake May did not look very secure, very confident. To me, his nerves, his age, his inexperience very much showed in his first playoff game. Now, that is against one of the best defensive minds in the sport, and Jesse Minter, who's getting head coaching looks because he's so good on defense. That's against one of the best defenses and one of the better pass rushes in the NFL in the Chargers, right? But this Texans team is a different ball game, in my opinion. They're in the maybe same stratosphere, but there's levels to this game, right? To me, the Texans are like an outlier for the last 15 years of NFL football. You look at the Texans and you go, that's different. The Ravens team that beat the 49ers in the Super Bowl, the Broncos team that carried a geriatric Peyton Manning to a Super Bowl, right? This caliber defense, to me, that's really what these Texans look like to me. So what do we have? We have the Patriots, which are one of the most explosive offenses in the NFL. Drake May, who's making his bid to maybe be a top 5 quarterback in coming years, or at least put himself in those conversations, top 6, top 7. He wants to be named with the Matt Staffords of the world, the Joe Burrows of the world, the Lamar Jacksons of the world. He's going against a buzzsaw in the Houston Texans, a team that humiliated Josh Allen at one point this year, a team that ended Aaron Rodgers' career for all we know, scored 2 defensive touchdowns last week. It is a matchup of an offensive juggernaut, at least in my opinion, in Drake May. He does not necessarily have offensive juggernaut pieces around him, but they have a pretty damn good offense. And Josh McDaniels knows what he's doing, calling plays, right? He's a Super Bowl winning coordinator, I believe a 3 or 4 time Super Bowl winning coordinator. At head coach, they have a 3 or 4 time Super Bowl champion and linebacker Mike Vrabel, right? To me, this is a championship pedigree in terms of the coaching staff. So that offense is going to be humming. But then you have DeMeco Ryans, who in my opinion is a Super Bowl caliber defensive mind. Has he won the Super Bowl yet? No, but he's been damn close with the 49ers, and he's made the playoffs every year with the Texans. He is every bit the defensive mind that as good as there is in the sport, right? As good as there is in the sport. He took the Texans from a joke to a perennial contender every single year. Maybe not a Super Bowl contender, but a perennial playoff contender. That's really impressive. Okay, juggernaut defense, really good offense. Then on the other side, you have what I think is kind of a clown car offense in the Texans. They jumbled together an O-line that they've reshuffled 3 or 4 times this year. It's really kind of garbage. Outside of Nico Collins, they have some players that I think are nice pieces on a roster. I like the 2 Iowa kids, right? They've alternated at different points this year, being prevalent, being not. They're going to have to be really prevalent all of a sudden this week. They have Xavier Hutchinson, kind of a weird player to get a lot of run, but he got a lot of run at periods when Nico Collins was out. Christian Kirk had probably his best game that I can remember as a professional last week, so there's certainly that on the board. And then the Patriots tend to be gettable from the slot receiver because Christian Gonzalez takes the guy outside. So Christian Kirk is certainly live to have a big game. But CJ Stroud looked horrific last week. Horrific, and not in some brutal matchup. Dude, the Steelers have been very gettable this year, and that looked like prime steel curtain Steelers that were out there against CJ. He looked lost. He made horrific decisions. That interception in the red zone where he kind of threw that weird behind his receiver pass, it was just an easy pick, inside the 15-yard line, was a complete joke. He had a couple fumbles, 3 or 4 of them that, they looked cartoonish. It did not look real to me. I don't know what he was doing. He sailed one to Nico Collins. He had a 70-yard touchdown to Nico Collins that if he just puts it anywhere in the vicinity, Nico's running. He's gone. He was behind the safety. He was over it and sailed it way over his head. CJ looked terrible to me. Terrible. He didn't use his legs, which he's done at points this year to move things. So, okay. So what do we have on the other side? We have a terrible offense, in my opinion, especially without Nico Collins, going against a defense that played pretty goddamn good football against Justin Herbert. Now, that was against Justin Herbert with a terrible O line, but the Texans have a terrible O line as well. And Justin Herbert's a hell of a lot more talented than CJ Stroud. And Justin Herbert's receiving core is a lot better than what CJ Stroud's working with. And even injured, I guess they only had Kamani Vidal, right? But sorry to Omari and Hampton betters. But like, I still think their running back probably is their running backs are similar. Kamani Vidal's in the same range as like a Woody Marks or a, robotic leg Nick Chubb. So yeah, that's really the whole story of the game is can the Texans defense be incredible enough that this juggernaut of an offense doesn't show up? If they don't show up, can the clown car offense do anything against the Patriots defense? I think Mike Vrabel knows what he's fucking doing, boys. I think as a defensive coordinator in the playoffs, never forget when the fucking Ravens, I believe they beat the Ravens at home. I think the Ravens were the number 1 seed that year if I'm not mistaken. I believe the Titans went in there and dropped Lamar Jackson during one of his crazy runs where everyone thought he was the man. Like, dude, this is a guy who was in the AFC going to AFC championships with Ryan Tannehill. Ryan Tannehill is his quarterback, throwing to who was that little Dion Lewis? That little, I think it was Dion Lewis, the little scat back out of the backfield that Arthur Smith would call plays for. It's dude, like this is a really respectable coaching staff. I think the Texans have a very tall task ahead of them. What do you think of the game, Ted?
Well, I mean, you know, the Drake May performance last week, like obviously first playoff game, like give the kid a little bit of grace, right? But he did
Yeah,
not look like the Drake May that we've seen the majority of the season. Like obviously the Patriots had an incredibly easy schedule. I think the Chargers were far and away the best defense they had played all year, right? And
absolutely.
the Texans are even a step above them. So I think it's going to be a huge game for Drake May because when you talk about like an elite offense, I think that the Patriots are honestly still in a rebuild from a roster perspective. I think they
Absolutely.
still need a couple more guys offensively, but Drake May has just been so good that he's carried them, right? So looked a little shaky against a slightly worse defense, and now he's going up against the number one mauler of a defense. So yeah, like I totally agree with you on the Texans offense. Like even when Nico Collins is there, I cannot stand that offense. Like I like CJ Stroud too, but to me, the way he's played this year, it looks like he's in his head a little bit. Like what was it? What did we say? Like earlier in the season, before CJ got injured the first time, the Texans opened up the season 0-3. I believe it looked like they were surefire to miss the playoffs, and CJ was playing some of the worst ball I've seen him play in years. Right? He almost looked like scared in the pocket. It looked like he didn't trust the line to hold up. He was rushing his decisions, missing easy windows. Right? That had gotten better over the year, but I feel like the Steelers cranked up the heat a little bit on him and he kind of reverted back to early season CJ. I think that if CJ plays like that, the Texans got no shot. Um, but like the Patriots, they did a good job against the Chargers last week. They for the majority of the season, they haven't like had much of a pass rush. I feel like in terms of like these teams, right? I feel like the Texans are entirely one-sided in what they're doing, and the Patriots are like a more well-rounded team, I guess you could say, right? And if the Texans pull this game off, if the Texans go into New England against a what were they, 14-win team with that offense that they're sporting, it is to me, one of the all-time defensive performances that I think we've ever seen, right?
Yeah.
I think this Patriots team is going to offer a lot more resistance than Aaron and the Steelers could. They're even though they're in a rebuilding phase, they're much more equipped, I think. To me, like I'm taking the Patriots here. Um, I think that a great defense is like what do they say? Defense wins championships, right? But it's on the caveat that the rest of your team, like you have at least competent offense. Maybe the Texans win a Super Bowl in the '70s or whatever, right? When the Steel Curtain was winning Super Bowls and Terry Bradshaw wasn't very good, but in this day and age, man, I think Drake May's got the juice. I think the Patriots squeak out a close win here. In terms of the line, I'd probably take an under here. It feels to me like an under. New England should be cold, I'd expect. And it just feels like points are going to be at a premium in this game. I would prefer that to taking any against the spread pick. Who do you got, Yanni?
I will be riding with you. I will be riding with you and taking New England to win the game. And I would certainly hammer the under here. I think we got a little bit spoiled last week, right, with just an absolute banger to start the playoffs. I'm expecting a lot more tactical and grindy football this weekend.
Yeah, yeah, I think so. And that's our first consensus of the week too. Different on the first two, agree on that one. This next one, though, I would be shocked if this was a grindy football game. I think there's a reason the Niners got screwed and this game got put in prime time because I think it's going to be a very exciting watch. We got the Rams going to Chicago to play the scrappy Bears. The Bears,
The
who
scrappy Bears.
I thought
Let's
the Bears
go.
were dead. I cannot believe
Yeah.
they won that game.
Let's
The
go.
Ben Johnson in the fourth quarter magic just continues. Let's see if they can do it again against what in my view, is probably the Super Bowl favorite. Or that's at least what I think. So here's the offensive and defensive stuff. The Rams, guess what? They're really good on this side of the ball. First in points scored, first in yards gained, first in passing yards gained. Matt Stafford's probably walking into an MVP here this season. Seventh in rushing yards gained. The Rams have Blake Corum and Kyron Williams. I don't think they're world beaters by any means, but they're effective on the ground as a unit. That's a Sean McVay thing more than anything else to me. The Rams are seventh in red zone touchdown percentage. They get a touchdown 63.2% of the time they get into the red area. And they are 17th in third down conversions. They are only converting 39.6% of the time, so just a hair under 40%. The Bears offense, I would love to see what these numbers look like if they could put together 4 full quarters of playing well. But as it stands right now in the aggregate, they are ninth in points scored, sixth in yards gained, 10th in passing yards gained, third in rushing yards gained. I feel like DeAndre Swift and Kyle Monangai were really like the difference maker with this Bears offense and the run they went on in the second half of the season. 12th in red zone touchdown percentage. The Bears are getting in the paint 58.2% of the time they get in the red area. And they are seventh in third down conversions, converting 42.7% of the time. On the other end, not as good here for either unit. The Rams are 10th in points allowed, 17th in yards allowed, 19th in passing yards allowed, 12th in rushing yards allowed, and they've come down quite a bit. That the Rams, I think, for the first like 6 or 7 weeks, were number one in that category. They have since slipped down to 12th, so they're having some issues stopping the run here. More on that in a minute. Third in red zone touchdown percentage defensively. They only allow a touchdown 46.2% of the time teams get into the red zone. And they are seventh in defensive third down conversions. They only allow a third down conversion 36.3% of the time. The Bears defense is 23rd in points allowed, 29th in yards allowed, 22nd in passing yards allowed, and 27th in rushing yards allowed. That is really bad on all counts. Their defense has not been winning them games, I would say, for the most part. The Bears are 15th in red zone touchdown percentage defensively. They allow a touchdown 56.1% of the time opposing teams get in the red zone, and they're 22nd in third downs allowed. They allow a third down 40.8% of the time. So bottom 10 in the league in that category. Spread on the game: Rams minus 3.5. Over under on this game is 48.5. So right off the bat, right, I think that if you took if you asked me what the spread on this game would be, I guess it would be around week 11, when the Rams beat the Seahawks the first time, right? And you asked me what I think the line on this game should be, I would have said like Rams by 5 or 6 points. I think that the line is showing this, and I think that it's just the reality of these teams right now. The Rams have been leaking oil a little bit. They've looked really funky down the stretch. In the Bears, they just seem like they got a little bit of that Washington Redskins magic on them that Jaden and the Redskins had last year. It just feels like, for whatever reason, they're just kissed by destiny. They just keep pulling out these games that it feels like they have no business winning. So to me, like, I'd probably bet the Bears plus 3.5 here. Like, do I think the Rams win at margin? Probably not. I think this is a very close game. But yeah, like when we talk about this game, right? The Bears defensively, I think like they're a sieve. They're just so bad defensively. They give up a million yards. Jordan Love was out there destroying them. I guess they looked good against the Lions, but that's Jared Goff outdoors, right? You go back to week 17 against the Niners, that was just a complete shootout. So when the Bears are winning these games, like they're asking their offense to, you know, pull the cart at the end of the game, really. And really, what the Bears have, the only thing they're really doing well they're really doing well defensively is getting turnovers. I don't believe they turned the ball over last week against the Packers, but I feel like in this game, with Matthew Stafford playing the way he has been, with this Rams offense as a whole being what they are, with Devontae Adams being back in the fold, getting another week under his belt, I think the Bears might give up 40 points here. I think like Rams could score anywhere in the neighborhood of 35 to 40 points, right? And I listen, like Caleb Williams has shown me, I've been one of the latest like Caleb adopters, I guess, on the season. Like I've been very hesitant to say that he's improved, but to me, like I feel like even though he's still an inconsistent player, like I think that he's a clutch player, and that is so important as a quarterback. Like just I look at Brock Purdy, man. Like even if he struggles during the game, like he's making plays at the end, and that's what Caleb is doing. But his physical skill set is like so much more than Brock Purdy. I think Caleb has every shot in the bag. Like he makes plays that I think guys like that are in the upper elite tier quarterback. Like Caleb makes plays that I think like only Mahomes and Josh Allen and Lamar can make. Like he really like does some things really well. But I think it's just going to be a question of the Bears are going to give up their points. They're going to give up their yards, right? I think it's just a question of can the Bears hang in there? Can they stay within double digits of the Rams, right? Like you can't be giving up a 21-3 lead at halftime against the Rams and think you're going to win that game. You just can't. So I think the Bears, their path to victory, stay within striking distance, have the offense going at least marginally well. The running game has been effective for the Bears. They've kind of gotten away from it in the past couple weeks just because they've been down in games and they've been in shootouts. Like I really hope that the Bears, if they want to be competitive here, would commit to the run, especially since the Rams have been struggling to defend that, right? I think they gave up like 200 yards to Bijan or something insane week 18. Like it just feels like they're not playing the run as well. So yeah, I just the Bears just need to keep this thing close and then maybe pull away at the end. And what one thing that I would say would be a chink in the Rams armor, other than their secondary, which I don't think is good, is Matt Stafford has been turning the ball over a little bit. He's kind of done that throughout his career. Like Matt Stafford will get loose with the ball sometimes. He will turn the ball over, but the Bears have been really good at getting those impact turnovers. Like the Bears need like a fourth quarter pick in like the right moment, right? I'm gonna be keeping it a stack with you guys. I'm taking the Rams here. I think that the Bears Cinderella run ends, but I think this will be captivating football to watch. Caleb Williams probably in the biggest game. This is probably the biggest game of his life, I'd say. We'll see if he's got the juice, but I'm taking the Rams. I don't think the Bears can get it done. What do you think, Yanni? Do you think the Cinderella run ends for Ben Johnson and Caleb?
Yeah, so I mean, two of their crazier comebacks that have come against the Packers over the last few weeks. You guys have to remember that's been the Packers with an injured Josh Jacobs. And like Josh Jacobs did not look right to me for the last month of the season. They were not able to run the ball when they got a big lead effectively. The Rams absolutely can run the ball effectively and not just effectively. Kyron Williams is like I want to say he averages 5.7 yards per carry in the playoffs. He has been a very, very good playoff running back. I thought Blake Corum's looked tremendous this year when he's been given the rock, right? So this is a team where if they get up by 21 points, Sean McVay has what he calls his Rolex second halves. Rolex is when they play the clock, they stop playing the other team. And that means they run the full play clock down. They try for these 14 play drives where they have 12 rushes and they can chew off 10 minutes of clock time right at a time. So that's an important distinction, dude. I understand the comebacks are really exciting, but when a team can run the ball the way the Rams can run the ball, that's what stops those comebacks. Now, I don't think that they have much of a shot of stopping them in the passing game. I think that's just the way it's going to be. I know that people have been sharing that stuff about Matt Stafford being 1-9 in his last 10 weather games. I do think that's interesting, being that this will be one of the coldest playoff games in NFL history. So like that's certainly relevant, right? I think that actually really helps the Bears. But dude, the Rams went out there last year in a snowstorm and went shot for shot with Philadelphia and probably should have beat them if Puka Nacua either gets a call or comes down with a ball down the sideline in a 2-minute drill, right? So like they had no problem playing in a blizzard, way worse conditions. This isn't a blizzard. This is just really cold, right? So I don't know. I don't know if that's really going to factor in. And then to me, the story of Caleb Williams year 3 and 4 that I cannot wait to see. Can he become what he is in the fourth quarter? Can he just start games like that? Can he consistently play 4 quarters of football the way he does in fourth quarters? If he does, he will all of a sudden find himself amongst names like Patrick Mahomes, Josh Allen, Lamar Jackson, Joe Burrow, Matt Stafford. He will be one of those guys if he can play like that. Does that start this week? So that's my big question, right? Is do we see a game where Caleb Williams comes out from the first quarter through the fourth, not just the first quarter on the 15 scripted drives, not just the start of the second half where he gets his scripted drives, not just the fourth quarter where it's hair on fire time. He needs to go out there in the second quarter, in the middle of the third quarter, and he has to complete these balls, dude. He's got to hit his open guys. Romo Dunze said he's way less than 100%, said he doesn't feel great, but he's playing until the wheels roll off. Great. He's got to keep doing that. Probably going to rely on DJ Moore quite heavily like they did last week because he's the veteran of the group. Luther Burden dropped his snap count precipitously upon the return of everyone in the lineup, but still looked really good when he got plays. And Colston Loveland had one of the great games in the history of NFL rookie tight ends in the playoffs. So like I think the offense is ready to go. It is just about can Caleb make those throws? Not when it's hair on fire time, not when it's fuck it, who cares? The game's out of hand. We're just going to sling the rock time. We know he can do that. But like Tom Brady's really emphasized. I watch every single Tom Brady spot with Colin Cowherd. I love listening to Tom Brady break down the games from the week. It's like one of my favorite things in all of NFL media. It's quickly becoming. And he so harps on the fundamentals. He had a great quote about if the NFL season or if an NFL game's a marathon, everyone loves the first mile and everyone loves the last mile, but it's like the 23 miles in between those that really are what make a player or what make a game or what make a season. And to me, Caleb is so lacking in that. Whereas you have Super Bowl champion, you have championship pedigree dripping from this Rams team through and through on their roster. Where this game gets so interesting to me, let's say that the Bears come out and punch them in the mouth. It's 7-0. They come out, their scripted plays hit really well. Matt Stafford's a little bit cold. Maybe they have a 3-and-out. And now the Bears get to play downhill with their running attack. Then all of a sudden, I think we have a really interesting game. If the Rams cannot force Caleb to be one dimensional and then they can't force Caleb to have to hit these balls and they allow him to like play off his play action and roll around in the pocket and dodge his, break his sacks and get outside and do his little playground stuff, I think the Rams could quickly find themselves in trouble here. However, I don't think Caleb's ready for it. I don't think the Bears are ready. I don't think Ben Johnson's ready even. He had some kind of bad calls last week. Not ready to go with a Sean McVay caliber team. I'm going to take the Rams, but it would be so much more fun for me if the Bears win. So much more fun for me as a Niners fan to see the Rams get eliminated. God forbid we have to watch a second Rams Super Bowl in the last 5 years. That'll just rip my heart out. But I just wonder, what if Caleb puts it together for 4 quarters? If he puts that together for 4 quarters, we might see like a stat line of like 440 yards and like 5 touchdowns. That's within his range of outcomes, or like 380 yards, 4 touchdowns, 40 on the ground, and a rushing touchdown. Like he has that within his range of outcomes. And God, how exciting! How exciting is that? But I think it's much more likely the Rams get a couple key stops in the second quarter. They're running the football. It's like 14-7 or 17-7 going into halftime, and then they run out the clock. That's the most realistic way I see the game going. We'll see if I'm wrong.
Yeah, man, it does feel like the Rams defensively can be got in the secondary as well. The Rams, they'll probably, I would expect them with the Falcons pick that they're getting in the first round this year to take a corner, I would say, or safety. Yeah, because if Caleb cooks this game, if he plays all 4 quarters, yeah, I think he could have one of those monster games because the Rams do struggle. But I don't know, man. You're right when you say that the Rams have been there before, right? Matthew Stafford's the Super Bowl champion. Sean McVay's the Super Bowl champion coach. A lot of veterans in that locker room. So even
It's
though I'd
grown
like it,
men.
listen,
Dude,
if
there's a lot of guys in that locker room with like 3 kids and like a 15-year wife at home. You know what I mean?
oh yeah,
Like, yeah, it's not kids. It's not kids like hoping to make a name in the league. So
let me tell you something though. If the Niners pull this off on Saturday, I am going to be wearing my Bears hat
yes, sir.
on Sunday night.
Yeah.
I don't want to play the Rams. If they can get
Nope.
knocked out here by Caleb, if he can do us a solid, would appreciate it. But second
Yeah.
consensus for us. So this week we have two games that we're the same on, two that we're different on. So we'll show the brackets now. The way I have it, I'm taking the Homer pick with the Niners, and I think the Rams win. So I'd have the NFC West, or not NFC West. It would be an NFC West matchup, but the NFC Championship in Levi's South. It would be a rematch of, I believe it was 2021. Be an exciting game, I think. And then I have in the AFC, maybe a surprising AFC Championship. It is the 1 and 2 seeds, but I feel like both these teams have just kind of been looked at as not good teams or just weak 1 and 2 seeds. But I think both of them get it done. I think we have a Patriots Broncos matchup in New England.
And obviously, mine's going to be a little different. I think we get an NFC West rematch of two teams that were historically great against the spread. It would be so interesting to see how this one plays out. I hope it's the 49ers, but the way I have it bracketed, I believe it'll be the Seahawks hosting the LA Rams. And then I believe it'll be the Buffalo Bills going on the road to face the New England Patriots in another divisional trilogy. You know, I'm either way, man. Obviously, I'm rooting for my 49ers, but I think we have so many banger matchups that could come out of this weekend. I would be so excited for championship week. So I'm looking forward to it. It should be really fun.
Yeah, absolutely. I feel like this field is closer than it's ever been. I think that every team has its weaknesses, and any combination of teams, I feel like it wouldn't be that out of the realm of possibility to me. Very fun stuff. But that's gonna do it for us. If you made it through the whole video, thank you. Please like, subscribe, hit the bell. It helps the channel out. Question of the day for the audience: who do you got, Niners or Seahawks? Obviously, where us Niners fans stand. Some of us are more faithful to the team than others, but interested to see what you guys think. I'm gonna have my Christian McCaffrey jersey on tomorrow. It's gonna be exciting. I really hope they do it. But we'll catch you guys for the championship week next week.